Yo, what's going on, guys? And today I wanted to talk about, of course, the good old Dallas Mavericks. First off, Quentin Grimes and Naji Marshall will be the focus of this video because of just with the whole injury situation of Luka Dončić and everything. I just want to focus on how these two guys have been two great additions by Nico Harrison for this team. Yes, I know they almost blew a 24-point lead, but let's just talk about these Mavericks. Let's get right into it. I want to hear those thoughts down below. And yeah, let's get rid of me on here. Like, subscribe. Bye. Now, guys, what do I think? So the Mavericks, obviously, this year have done a good job bringing in Klay Thompson, Naji Marshall, and Quentin Grimes, which when you look at it in retrospect, it really was just Derrick Jones Jr. and Tim Hardaway Jr. both leaving. And Tim Hardaway was on the outs for a while. Jaden Hardy had replaced him. So people had thought, well, okay, was that going to be enough to fix the depth? And I think, especially with now Dončić being out for a few games, they're saying like 4 games, Naji Marshall and Quentin Grimes are playing impactful basketball. And we've known Quentin Grimes can do what he can do that season with the Knicks. We know Naji Marshall has been a great player for the Pelicans. But were they going to be able to, be key contributors on a team with championship aspirations, one that was in the NBA Finals? And now Dereck Lively, PJ Washington out there having great offensive games. I think this just goes to show that a guy like Naji Marshall, who was able to quickly carve out this role within the Maverick system, first off, it's because Jason Kidd loves the defensive versatility that Naji gives them. And against the Denver Nuggets, Marshall was playing like this free safety style role in the final 2 minutes, where he was able to not only disrupt Nikola Jokic, but go up against Michael Porter Jr., who was going against for most of the game, and just showing his good basketball IQ and timing and awareness on the floor to deny the passing lanes, force bad decisions by pressing on the ball. And of course, he delivered a career high 26 points, shot 53% from the field this season as well. Is just, I think, great. And this is a guy, for his career, he's been mainly a slasher to the basket, a guy who gets the free throw line a decent bit as an off the bench guy, but really gives him a sense of reliability this year on offense, and especially what he's been able to do in crunch time. And Marshall has been able to contribute, particularly, I think, a lot more than people would think. With his more touches available due to Dončić being hurt, he's been doing well. And I think if you look at it, Naji Marshall, his last couple of games, he's been a guy who, for the season, he's, obviously averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 steals. So I think it's a really good year for him, especially that he's only shooting 20% from 3. And prior, he was kind of like a 34% 3-point shooter for his career. I also want to say the last 2 games, he's basically had 41 points. So one could say he's a 20.5 point per game scorer in the last 2 games without Dončić really playing, some might say. And that's where I think you look at this situation. I think, let's go on the other side. I just took out my retainer if anyone just heard that. Quentin Grimes is bringing in the 3-point shooting that they needed. Yeah, you got Klay Thompson, but they needed more 3-point shooting from the perimeter, because they had guys who could shoot threes like in Kleba and Tim Hardaway Jr. But I would say those guys weren't like guards. They didn't have like 3-point shooting guards. And Quentin Grimes is kind of like a swingman who can play the 2 or the 3, but his 2.6 attempts from 3, almost 3 a game. And yeah, he's averaging just a modest 6.1 points. But hitting 41% of his threes, and his ability to go off ball and guard 1 through 3 players, particularly being a solid second unit guy, and play off ball and keep the flow of the offense going, regardless who's in the game at point, I think is huge. Now you pair that up with the defensive anchors that is PJ Washington and Dereck Lively. Dereck Lively has obviously been a revelation. Now, I know some people are going to be the foul troubles concerning, but that's why you have Daniel Gafford. And Lively's defensive impact cannot be overstated. You saw in the closing minutes of this game against Denver, his back-to-back blocks on Jokic and Westbrook just helped Mavericks keep the win, and he's averaging 1.5 blocks on 71% from the field. So his presence in the paint while being an efficient scorer around the rim is solid. And I think PJ Washington complements him and is also the perimeter guy, the guy who's kind of like the Swiss Army knife, guards everyone, guards the opposing player's best offensive guy on the perimeter. And he had 22 points tonight, and he's averaging 8.5 rebounds per game. I think he's helping this team the way that they need. Now, I think Jason Kidd maximized his depth tonight. He had, 6 guys scored double figures. Kyrie Irving's averaging like 24 points, 5.5 assists. And without Luka, the Mavericks are leaning on their bench, and they're 9-7 so far. So this team's currently 9th in the Western Conference in the standings. Obviously, we're 16 games through the season. 116 points per game is 5th in the NBA in terms of ranking for the points per game as a unit, while their defense, 109.9 points per game, ranked 17th, is a little down from last year, but they're 8th in net rating. So I think everything's trending well, and we know Dončić sidelined at least for 4 more games. So Dallas is going to continue. Wow, could not speak right there. It's going to continue to rely on Marshall and Grimes until the Dončić comes back. And I know Dante Exum is still out. If we want to address that, he was a guy who really helped them last year defensively, and the wrist surgery is going to be something that's going to keep him out. He's a guy who guards multiple positions and he's a secondary playmaker, but I think it's solid. And I know Klay Thompson's shooting efficiency has been inconsistent this year, 35.9% from 3, 38% from 3. That's going to change, but I think his off-ball movement and his catch and shoot ability is just going to help this rhythm, especially with no Luka. And looking at the list, I mean, we talked about PJ already. We talked about Dereck Lively averaging 7 rebounds, 71% from the field. Kyrie's really shooting incredibly well from 3. He's been showing an ability to play on and off ball this year well. I think Spencer Dinwiddie, again, a guy averaging like 4.5 points a game, but in limited minutes, still 2 assists. He's like been hyper efficient there, as well as Jaden Hardy. His 39% field goal percentage isn't great, but he's kind of being their 6th man, or one of their 6th man. They have like multiple guys who come in and like create offense for them, and he shows a willingness, to attack the basket and be a spark off the bench. So the outlook is like they have guys who can score the ball, and I think at this point we're just trying to keep everything flowing, and I think as the season progresses, we're going to see if this pulls out. And I want to hear your guys' thoughts. What do you guys expect? And if you guys agree with me. But yeah, that's it. I'm done. If you made it this far, thank you. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm going to go to bed. And yeah, ciao.